Howdy, everybody. Humanities 2 Shasta College as we make our way from the Renaissance to current times through the arts. The best of our humanities is the arts, folks. And that encompasses a lot, not just these subjects I'm talking about, but it covers architecture, design, dance, buildings, highways, roadways. That can be considered an art form also. Um, Architects designing our buildings, how we live, what our cities look like. That's all part of who we are as humans on the planet, and how important, but the dwellings that we live in. I want to continue with theater today, part two, and then I'll shut up about it. Um, how how vital it was to the growth of who we are as the best of who we are. Um, we're into the 20th century playwrights, which I got into a little bit the other day. Eugene O'Neill's kind of changed the landscape on playwriting with his brilliant plays, The Iceman Cometh, Long Day's Journeys, and Tonight, Desire Into the Elms. These are long, long plays. They're not made for today's short attention spans. I ask in a discussion what your relationship with theater. Are you participating in that? Because I'll have to go in there and check it. Do you have a relationship? Do plays bore you? Do you go to them? Do you enjoy them? Do you want to participate in it? Have you ever been up to Ashland? We're very close to some world class theaters. They've been closed down for the pandemic for 2 years, but everything's opening up again. Um, we have Ashland, which is a world class repertory theater company doing Shakespeare and new plays. Also, you should go up there. It's 100 miles from here. 2 hour drive. Have a nice dinner. Go to a play and transform your life and have a great experience to see live actors, not television. They're not being taped on video or TikTok or a film. They are live. They have to memorize their characters, they have to perform, and we have to believe them. And there's a lot of pressure on them. The playwrights who write the plays, some long dead playwrights and some living playwrights, there's a lot of pressure to come up with a story that's engaging, that people want to see. They want to hear the conversation as it is, as it were. And that's another aspect to our humanity. And so playwrights are out there writing plays in hope that what they have to say is going to connect to the audience somehow, to their fellow humans, because they're telling our stories. They're holding up the mirror to who we are, but they're also looking at who we are also, and that's what they're writing about. And right now, people are writing plays about homelessness, the wars in Ukraine, environmental, the climate change, politics. There's a ton of stuff to write about, and emotional politics. We all love, have families, maybe divorced, maybe, and so there's a plethora of things to write about, and playwrights are doing that job, and that's why it's spelled the way it's spelled. It's not spelled playwriter; it's spelled playwright, as is it's a job. It's like a millwright. You know what I'm talking about? WRIGHT is a laborer. And so the early versions of playwrights were they're constructing a story. So they're not playwriters spelled writing. They're playwrights, uh, which I've always appreciated because they're building something from nothing, by the way, on a black piece of paper with some ideas, and they build a story and they build some lives. And if they're good, we connect to it. Not so good, we reject it. Um, but it's an important element of who we are. Started with cavemen putting on pantomimes in the caves about the day's hunting events to the Greek tragedies. We don't go in this class as far back as the Greeks, but they wrote these incredible plays in ancient Greece. Oedipus Rex, all the incredible Antigone. These are incredible plays, and they're very easy to read, folks. They're not done in Shakespeare's poetry. The language is more straightforward and it's very universal. I mean, for example, the Oedipus Rex, you probably maybe you've heard of that. I don't know if you have or not. You should look it up. Oedipus Rex was uh, Rex means king, by the way, in ancient language. Yeah, that's my name, folks, king. But in Latin, and so the translates to king. And in Greece, ancient Greece, they used to call the king Rex. They didn't have the word king. That was came in later. And so Oedipus Rex is the king of Greece, and he has the misfortune of falling in love with a woman, and yes, having sex with this woman without knowing that it's his real mother. And then he finds out, and he knows he's sinned. He knows what he's done is wrong, and he gouges his own eyes out, folks, and walks the land blind. Maybe you've heard of this thing called an Oedipal complex. That means you're lusting after your mother, which is not a good thing, but it's common. Well, that all was transformed by the playwright who wrote it. Um, 2,500 years ago, a long time ago, folks. So, in the meantime, besides playwrights, which build the foundation for the story, which is you have to have the play or you don't have anything. Then you have to find directors. Do you know what a director does? Have you ever seen a director work or know what they do? Have you ever directed a play yourself? Well, they usually move the actors around on the stage. They have a vision. They have the play in hand, or they're reading it, and they're trying to get what the playwright had up here onto the stage. And the director moves actors around. He positions actors and he directs performances because he's interpreting the playwright. A good director will shape the play, will shape the performances, the music, the design. That's what a director does. And a good director should do it without, it should be seamless. You shouldn't notice it. You should just watch the story unfold and watch how the actors move on stage, where they move on stage, where the lighting is, what design they're using, what their costumes look like, what they're doing emotionally, or it's a comedy. The director is conducting all of that. In the meantime, we have actors. Did you watch that little documentary I asked you to watch? And it's a simplistic TED talk about moving actors on a stage. What constitutes theater? A blank stage isn't theater. You've got to have somebody walking across the stage. Then you start having theater. Then you have to have maybe someone else walking. And then maybe they meet in the middle and there's a conversation. And in the middle, there's a light on them. Now we're getting theater. It's starting to come alive. And then all of a sudden, maybe there's a chair to sit on and a table to sit on. That's starting to become a life on the stage. The theater is taking on a life of its own. A blank stage isn't theater. You got to put something up there. And it should be convincing and that people in the audience see what they need to see, hear what they need to hear, feel what they need to feel, laugh when they need to, cry when they need to, because you're telling the story, whatever the play is you're telling. And all the nuances of those characters have to be drawn out of the actor. What are actors? Has anybody been an actor in a play or a performance or on a YouTube video or in a TikTok video? Have you ever performed on stage at all? Have you ever wanted to? What do you think the desire is? Because you want to be seen, you have vanity, you think you're beautiful, you want to be seen. It takes a lot more than that, folks. It takes a dedication to finding out the truth of who we are through spoken word or music or dance, film, theater. There has to be that desire to feel life on the stage. It's all fake, folks. Theater's not real. It's all a construct. But it should feel as real as the day is long if it's successful. Plays, unlike a film, which once they record it, there's no going back and re recording it. A play changes every time you perform it. Say a play is run for 2 weekends. That's 4 or 5 days. Each performance is different. If you were an audience member and you happen to be participating in the audience and you see it, all five of those performances, they all should probably be a little bit different because plays are a living thing, whereas film is in amber. It's over. Once it's filmed, that's it. It's not going to be unless they do remakes, of course, which they do a lot. But we're going to talk about film towards the end of the course. But the play changes because it's a liquid. It's a liquid thing, and it's a fluid, and it's alive. And that's what makes theater dangerous. Now, I don't mean dangerous like someone's going to pull out a gun and shoot it at the audience. I'm talking about emotional danger. The actors are up there walking a tightrope of trying to keep people's eyes on them, their attention on them by the words they're speaking, the movements they're moving, the emotion they're conveying. That's not easy, folks. It's not just standing up there and reciting lines from a play that you memorized. It's creating a complex character or simple character. There's no simple character, everybody's complex. You could be a buffoon in a farce, and that's very complex. Or you could be in a Shakespeare play spouting very, very difficult poetic language and iambic pentameter, which is essentially the rhythm of Shakespeare's language. It's not easy to make it look like it's real, like it's natural, because it isn't natural. We don't speak like in Shakespeare's language, but the actors do. And if they're worth their talent, if they have any, they will make it look and sound exactly like it's coming from them and them only. You try to discard the the um, the lie, essentially, meaning the fakeness of theater, that they're all just on stage in funny costumes. It's not really happening. You try to strip all that away and try to make the audience feel that it is happening. Now, why is that important, do you say? Well, maybe you guys watch a lot of TV, Game of Thrones. What's your thing? X-Men, Spider-Man. Why do you watch it? What is it giving you that you need? We all need it. We all need to see the stories unfold. We relate to them or we don't, but if we do, it's better. Why? Why this need to see these stories play out on a stage? Remember Shakespeare's famous line, all the world's a stage. Think about that. Next time you go order your latte, double decaf latte with 2 shots of decaf espresso. Who would order that? What's the point of that? But you want extra whipped cream. Next time you do that at Starbucks, tell me if you're not on a stage performing. The barista's listening to you. The barista's the audience. The line behind you is the audience. You want to make sure your order's getting there right. You maybe say some friendly thing to the barista. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're one of those type of people. Or you know their names. You say, hello, John, how are you do? How you doing, Mary? Whomever they are, you try to connect with them. You're performing. You're performing out on the stage of life. When you go to the gas station, you put your credit card in, you stand outside, you're performing, you're washing the windows. People walk by and they go, oh, there's Rex Thompson, Professor Thompson, washing his windows on his Prius. I hope I'm doing, I hope I look good, kind of cool doing it. Because all the world's a stage. We're on stage, folks, whether you like it or not. When we get to film, Jean-Luc Godard, the great French filmmaker, who's still alive, by the way, at 91, and he's still making films, by the way. That's the power of art, is this desire to keep going because there's more to do. His famous saying was, everything is cinema, which means everything is movies. Okay. Cinema is a fancy French word for movies. Well, you think, well, that's silly. Everything's not cinema. Well, think about that for a second before you disregard it. Now that we're taping everything we do on these things, right? You're shooting your meals, your friends talking, you're shooting your cute cat over here, your child over there, your old grandpa over here. You're on a trail hiking somewhere, and then you send it to somebody. Your little TikTok movie, that's cinema, folks. You want to record things. Why do we record so many things now? Why do you think that is? We never had these cell phones until 10 years ago. So we weren't recording our every meal, every time we do something cool on a skateboard or a mountain bike or a motorcycle or a speedboat, whatever your thing is. We got to record it. We got to show it to somebody and send it off. The answer is simple, everything is cinema, and the world is the stage. And like Andy Warhol said, the artist who we're going to be talking about probably next week, his prediction, everyone is going to be famous for 15 minutes. When he said that 50 years ago, people thought it was a joke. They thought he was a fool, but he was a prophet. Andy Warhol was a genius. Think about it, folks. Everyone will be want to be famous for 15 minutes. So now we have YouTube and TikTok, and we get 15,000 hits, 20,000 hits, and we like it. And we want to keep our fame going for more than 15 minutes. You tell your friends, look, my last little video got 10,000 hits. Why do we do that? Because everything is cinema and all the world is a stage. now more than ever before. Our stories and the desire to find out why we're all connected. There's no different. I don't know if you're following the Ukrainian war. That's us, folks. We're hunkered down in the bunkers. They wear the same clothes we have. They shop at the same stores that just have funny names. They have dreams and desires and families, and they have hope for the future, just like we do. Hopefully, you do. How would you like to be bombed every day and have to hide in a basement in a building? How would you like to live like that? You wouldn't. So, even though Ukraine is a long way from here, it is everybody's. Our humanity connects us, and that's why they're on a grand scale now. That's an epic movie they're making back there. Special effects, tanks, anti-tank guns, jets, people huddled in basements. That's a huge Steve Spielberg movie. Or on stage, it would be a huge musical, West Side Story. Or Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night. It's epic. It's big. It's our drama. You know, you can have epic with two people on stage if you're smart enough. It simply means you're encompassing the whole of humanity, or a lot of it. You don't have to be epic to have, you don't have to have money to be epic. You just have to have a vision and the desire to pull it off. The ritual of our storytelling is ancient as we are. So next time you have an opportunity to go to a play, I went to a play this last weekend. A friend of mine was in the play at the Riverfront Playhouse. We have theater here. We got the Axiom Theater here. Maybe you're involved in that. Have you ever been to one of their plays? It's out there by Liquor Barn. Maybe you've had been in a school play, maybe seen school plays. There's a reason why it continues, especially in this world that we're living in now. We need theater more than ever because the story is always unfolding and there's always new information, new truth. And that's all theater's after, a grain of truth. It's not easy to come by. Keep up with your papers. I'll sign an essay at the end of this week. I'm still working on grading your essays. Any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. See you in a couple days when the story of our humanities continues.